Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Toboggan. We're going 7/8 of a mile, and the race is carded as the 7th. Let's take a peek at this field. Some good sprinters lining up for $150,000, Mike. All eyes are going to be on Pirate Rick, who's seeking his 5th consecutive score. All of those wins have come in gate-to-wire fashion. He's fast, but he's got to step up into the stakes ranks for the first time, and he's got to stretch it out to 7.
Yeah, they're stepping him up while in really good form. Yeah, they're doing it on short rest also. So I guess that's another thing you could concern yourself with potentially. Man, does he come streaking into this race, though. His last 4 races are all very good.
Trainer Lynn Cash does like to wheel him back on short notice. He has had success, and Pirate Rick might make the lead again, according to our friends at Time Form US. Not sure about the blue bar scenario, favoring horses on or near the early lead, which sort of indicates a slowish pace, but Pirate Rick does appear to be the speed of the speed, and Little Vic has shown a willingness to rate in recent starts.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I feel like if the rider of the 8 Little Vic has handicapped this race ahead of time, he should realize that he's probably got to come out of there running from the outside. Then I personally didn't see a ton of speed in this race.
I would not be surprised, however, if the number 1-3-2 Zone takes a step forward off his most recent race, where he was beaten as the favorite by Drafted. That was the Gravesend, his final start of 2022, and he was coming into that race off a 3-month layoff. Now, I didn't think he was very good in that race, but maybe he needed it from a fitness standpoint.
That's what you have to hope if you want to bet him in here. You're going to get a much better price. Obviously, he went favored in that Gravesend. Dan really didn't do much running at all that day. But it was off the layoff. You'll get a better price this time. He was in pretty good form last summer. It earned him a shot in the Forgo. He was just in way over his head in that race. His prior 3 starts were all good, Dan. I don't know. He got the 2 fast figures, the loss in between. I didn't really see an excuse for that one. I don't know. I'm still struggling to decide how good I think this horse is, but he's got a race or 2 that would give him a chance.
Let's watch Pirate Rick's last race, sort of a coming out party, even though he was winning for the 4th consecutive time because this race was fast. A 104 Beyer speed figure. He did have everything his own way on the lead in this race. He sprints on home to win by 7, and he is obviously in career form.
Thoroughly dominant here with a big figure to boot. So, it's hard to knock him coming in. I would even argue, Dan, that he might have run better than this in his prior start on December 30th, where he had to go fast to make the lead in there. There were other fast horses in there. They had to use this horse to get there. He got there, and then he fought off some challengers too. This horse is just in excellent form right now, and he's the horse to beat.
The number 3 Drafted is just a likable horse. He's the defending champion of this race, and he scored his most recent effort. That was the aforementioned Gravesend on December the 30th. Now, Drafted is the kind of late kicker that needs a little bit of pace help. You see the gray swinging into it now from last. With 3/16 of a mile to go, he still has a lot of work to do. You're going to see Little Vic battling it out in between. Drafted gets it done.
Thought he ran really well in here. Just another good performance for a horse who's been in good form for a long time now, Dan. I really like the way he stays on to the end here. He's just going to tag Little Vic on the line there. They both ran really well. Little Vic, to me, he might have done a little bit more work in that race, and maybe things work out a little bit better for him here, but they both ran well.
Wendell Fong scored 2 starts back, going 3/4 of a mile at Laurel. He's also cross-entered, I believe, at Parks next week, at Laurel on Sunday. He's coming out of a good third last time out in the Blitzen at Parks, where he was beaten by Repo Roxa, who's also in this race at Aqueduct. He was 4 wide that day, sort of grinded it along for 3rd over a sloppy track that he usually likes.
Yeah, that's true. A little wide in that race. Never really threatened at any point in that spot, but he did get up for 3rd. I guess you could give him some credit for that one. He ran fine 2 starts back when he got the job done. Just sort of more of a workman-like win, Dan. Listen, he's got some races, if you want to go back a couple of seasons, that would give him a look in here. So far, his form in the last 6 or 8 months doesn't do a lot for me.
Lynn Cash has Pirate Rick, but his other horse is the 5 Double Crown, who's a graded stakes winner already. He pulled off a big upset in the Kelso handicap, going a 1-turn mile at the Big A, and you can argue he's got excuses for his last 3 races. Simply overmatched in the Cigar Mile, a synthetic try at Turfway, and then a lousy post and a lousy break in the Queens County last time out. This horse is a stakes winner at 7 furlongs. You got to go all the way back.
Yeah, I would also just add in that those 9 furlong races in spots like the Queens County, it's just too far for him. Anytime they really stretch this horse out, he tries because he's that kind of a horse, but he doesn't really want to go that far. His best form is all in 1-turn races. It's worth noting that this is a 7 furlong race, not 6. So maybe that gives him a little bit of an advantage when you compare him to his stablemate, who's going to be the favorite in here. And he's not slow early, Dan. I can see him getting a good trip in this race, and I love him cutting back.
The Queens County was 3 weeks ago. Another stablemate, Plot the Dots, came back to win a stake at Laurel to Jennings with a 95 Buyers speed figure. Up next is Repo Roxa, 2 for 2 since being transitioned to the Jamie Ness barn. Here's his victory in the Blitzen last time out. Wendell Fong ran 3rd. Repo Roxa looked like wanted to get off the rail down the backstretch, and for a second maybe it wasn't going to work out, but then a big hole opened up and he split horses in between, got to the outside, and he grinds down the leader to score with a 97 Buyer. 0 for 11 at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, true enough. He's run similarly in his last 2 starts for Nestor. Both stakes wins, both times. He got good enough trips and was just really game to sort of surge at the end to get the job done. I get that he has the figures there, Dan. Maybe he'll ship in here and run the same kind of a race, but I think he's the kind of horse, especially if he takes money, you want to make him do that. He's run good races in New York before, but he's never been a real stakes kind of horse on this circuit. And he also has a tendency not to break that sharply from the gate. And if he fumbles the break in this spot, he's in big trouble.
While he's winless from 7 furlongs, the 7, Milton the Monster, is perfect. He's 4 for 4, going 7/8 of a mile, including his last two victories. This race, his first off the Tom Morley claim for $80,000, and he was able to track inside, got a nice split here at the 3/16 pole, and is on his way to victory. This is a weaker group than the one he's going to be facing on Saturday, but he loves the 7. He drew a nice outside post, and he does have tactical speed.
Yeah, all those things are true. He's got a race that would give him a real chance in here, Dan. He doesn't run it that often, but every once in a while he'll pop with a pretty big figure. And he does have good tactical speed too. I don't have any real knocks on his last 2 starts. He's gotten the job done both times. But if he shows up and runs like that in here, I don't think he's winning. And I just think it's also really worth pointing out, this horse loves a wet track, and he's caught 3 wet tracks in a row. Since he broke his maiden by the length of the stretch on fast dirt, all 5 of his wins are on wet tracks, and I don't think it's going to be wet in this race.
Little Vic is in very, very good form for trainer Juan Avila. He took the City of Laurel for 3-year-old only competition back in November, going 7/8 of a mile. He couldn't have gotten a better trip and ride that day. The rail opened up. He was very patiently handled. He showed the ability to rate in that race. And I think that is a new avenue for Little Vic. And I, of course, needed him last time out, and we saw the result. Drafted, pipped him on the wire.
Yeah, that's a tough beat last time. I thought he ran really well in that race. You're right that being able to rate is a benefit to him, especially going forward in this race. I'm not sure how conservative they necessarily want to get. Not that you want to send him into a duel with the favorite, but they got to be close in this race. And I think he's good enough to take that horse on and perhaps get the job done. If he winds up around that morning line, I think that's probably pretty good value.
The blinker's on. He should be sharp. He draws outside, and he figures right in the mix of things when they turn for home. Synthesis completes the field. This horse just scored a 3rd-level allowance at the Big A on December the 9th for David Jacobson. He sat off the pace. He swings to the outside. He's going to grind them down to win. He is a hard hitter, hasn't been in stakes competition in a very long time, and I wonder if he's just kind of a notch below at this point.
I kind of feel like that's probably going to wind up being the case. If nothing else, though, he's just really consistent. He shows up every single time and runs. He's got enough tactical speed, Dan, that I think he won't be compromised if this pace is slow. And he does stay to the end of his races. So if he's in the mix when they come down to about the 8th pole, he could be pretty dangerous at the end of this race.
Top pick time for Saturday is Toboggan. It's a graded stakes race at 7/8 of a mile. You're going for the price. We're both going with Lynn Cash horses, but Double Crown's 20-1 on the morning line, and we do like horses generally cutting back to 7/8. Will he get enough pace? Can he stay close if the pace is slow?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can. And, you know, more than anything else, I just like him cutting back then. I think it's pretty clear when you start taking his form apart, he's just way better around one turn. So this is the right race to run him in. I don't know if he's going to be 20, but anything close to that, I'm taking it.
He's trying to strike while the iron is hot with Pirate Rick. I think he's going to make the top in here, and we'll see if he can last that extra furlong. Mike's going Double Crown. I'm going Pirate Rick. It's the Toboggan at the Big A on Saturday. Good luck.